This is a clip from the 2004 film Troy, in which Brad Pitt portrays the legendary Greek figure of Achilles, known for his incredibly strong will yet equally weak heels. However, my purpose with this is not to begin a history lesson on the Trojan War, but instead take a deeper glance into what this interaction embodies and its impact on our day-to-day lives. Because whilst Achilles may be a figure hailing from a period of over 2,000 years ago, he's given the same choice we have today. A choice to live a peaceful life of obscurity or sacrifice it all in the pursuit of greatness. It's a decision that, if left unconfronted, risks serious regrets. And it's a decision that's thrown in our face on a near daily basis, paired with motivational TikToks and guides to wake up at 5 every morning. Yet in this societal rush to pursue the path of Achilles, to become heroes of our own, an important lesson is lost. Hence the necessity to examine the archetypal figure we model our lives after. The Tale of Achilles begins where nearly every great biography should, with a screaming child and joyful parents. Born the son of the sea god Thetis and King Peleus of Phthia, Achilles was of course never destined to live a normal life. In fact, before he was even born, his father heard a prophecy foretelling that his son would exceed him in nearly every aspect. Yet it would be his mother, foreseeing his death in a war to come, who would dunk Achilles in the river Styx, attempting to make him immortal, a process which would never reach completion, as in its final steps, Peleus would interrupt, prompting Thetis to abandon her child in a rage. Having run off his mother, Peleus would send Achilles to be fostered by the centaur Chiron, who, raising him in the various arts befitting any man of Greece, quickly discovered his proclivity for war, culminating in his eventual recruitment by King Agamemnon many years later, as part of a coalition to sack the city of Troy and restore honor to the king's brother, whose wife Helen was abducted. Before Achilles left, he met with his mother, who, being immortal herself, foresaw the future her son would pursue, and warned him of the choice he must make, to remain home and live a long, joyous life, or leave for a war that would bring him everlasting glory that he would never return from. The city of Troy was all but indestructible, and after a siege of 9 years, Achilles and the remaining coalition became frustrated with the siege's progress, as temporary tents slowly grew into permanent settlements. It's in the 10th year of this prolonged war that Homer's Iliad takes place. One of the most famous pieces of epic poetry, it covers the rage of Achilles, telling of a conflict between the warrior and King Agamemnon over the young woman Briseis, taken as a prize in the cruel manner of ancient warfare. The poem is notoriously difficult for first-time readers, though what's important here is not a comprehensive understanding, but the characterization of Achilles and fate it presents. Divine intervention is a key aspect of this war, and with the exception of the film and the video's beginning, nearly every narrative focuses heavily on it. Yet the Greek gods are not the Abrahamic. They are bound by the fates as much as any mortal, and unlike the tragedy of Oedipus, Achilles has an active choice before him, to leave the war behind or keep fighting till his death. A death which, according to Thetis, runs fast behind him. Yet, after the sacrifice of his friend and possible lover Patroclus, he resolves to keep fighting, seeking revenge above glory, though hyper-aware of the fact that once it's achieved, he'll perish. Though rather poetically, it's in this pursuit of revenge that the glory he abandoned is truly acquired. Clogging up the river Scamander with so many bodies, the water itself begs him to stop. But more importantly, brilliantly defeating Prince Hector of Troy and single-handedly turning the tides of war. However, it's in this insatiable bloodlust that the true brutality of Achilles is revealed. When asked for a pledge by Hector to treat his body with respect, the son of Peleus responds with this: "Hector, do not speak to me of contracts. Fool, forget about agreements. Lions do not swear solemn oaths with humans, and wolves and lambs do not share common feelings. Their enmity endures forevermore. Just so, there is no way for you and me to ever love each other or be friends. And there can be no oaths between us two, till one man falls and slakes the thirst of Ares, the warrior, the god who bears the shield. Remember all your skill and all your courage. Now is the time for bravery in battle. Now you must be a warrior, a fighter. Now all your chances to escape are gone." Upon his death, Hector's body is strung to the back of a chariot and brutally dragged around the city, to the horror of the prince's family, an act that Achilles, upon meeting Hector's father King Priam, would sorely regret. The hero became lost in his endless desire for revenge, and committed unspeakable acts in its name, though even still, the prophecy came true, as Achilles was killed before the gates of Troy, taking an arrow to the heel, ending a life that would be remembered for 3,000 years, yet never living 30. His tale is an ever-important one, as it's the very embodiment of the question we all must face today. What is the life you desire, and what will it cost you? Is it financial freedom, a family of your own, or even fame itself? Because everything demands a sacrifice, whether it's a relationship for the sake of a career, money for the sake of joy, or even something as menial as opportunity cost, closing the door on painting to pursue a career in music. Ambition is an endless flame, and the greater it becomes, the more of our personal kindling it must consume. Many of the most successful in any field opt to burn it all: time, freedom, even happiness itself, to achieve their goals. In many ways, this can be admired, especially a short-term sacrifice for an investment that triples in the long run. Ed Sheeran was homeless for a period whilst pursuing his music career, yet he now stands as one of the most prolific singer-songwriters on the planet. In fact, even a colleague of mine, Zenkai Goose, told me years ago of the intense sacrifices he was making to build a YouTube career, something I'm quite happy to see has paid off. Yet this ambition can be equally dangerous, as it runs the risk of perverting your very understanding of what's valuable. And what was once a desire to improve your life and those around you becomes an obsession for more that could never be satiated. As Tolkien would write, a dragon sickness takes hold, and friends, family, even morals themselves are burned as kindling. Workers are mistreated, nations are exploited, and children are slaughtered to fatten the pockets of the few. And eventually, like Achilles before them, they themselves become the kindling, as the very soul feeds the eternal flame. It's these aspects of the myth that remain the most important to be studied, yet it's often missed entirely by modern interpretations. Even the film Troy, one which paints the Greeks in a negative light and highlights their atrocities, singles out Achilles as noble amongst them, changing his death to be one of sacrifice instead of hubris, his final moments rescuing his love Briseis from the city sacking. Though it's in the sequel of the poem that the film is based on, which contains perhaps the most telling aspect of the hero's character. In Homer's Odyssey, King Odysseus encounters the spirits of Achilles amidst his long journey home, congratulating him for his glory and reminding him of the great respect the Greeks had, to which the hero responds, "Odysseus, you must not comfort me for death. I would prefer to be a workman hired by a poor man on a peasant farm than rule as king of all the dead." Only one life is given to us, so it cannot be wasted in endless fear of pursuing one's dreams. Yet more importantly, it should not be thrown away pursuing some vague sense of glory. Although this message is an incredibly important one to share with the world, I am not foolish enough to disregard my personal motivation for making this video, because it's this question I am faced with on a daily basis. Is sacrificing a period of my life worth a lifetime of freedom to study the classics, literature, and philosophy? The ability to bring that knowledge to a wide audience in the modern world, and inject it into cultural and political discourse. Contribute to the changes I want to see, and highlight a form of art increasingly lost in our daily life. Now, that tangent may have come off as self-centered, which it definitely was, but I'm confident that if you're watching this video, you feel a similar way about your own life, though with different circumstances, I'm sure. Which is why it's so important to not shy away from such conundrums, but confront them head on and weigh your options. Because for all we know, each and every one of our deaths could be running fast behind us. So chase your dreams, make the sacrifices, and never look back. Just be careful while you do so. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.